Hi, everybody. Hi. So my name is Carly Richardson, and no, I'm BeBe Deluxe. I'm not Carly Richardson. And this is Tonya Marie Richardson. Hello, everybody. And we both have put on assorted outfits and shoes and headpieces to get sweaty dollar bills out of people's hands while we move our mouth to, oh girl, the microphone is shady. She set me up. So Tonya and I are both, we put in some time in the business of female impersonation.
Go ahead.
And so we used to work together. I met Tonya about 5 years ago working at a horror establishment, just a lovely little Metro PCS. And we were asked to come up with like a panel, like a discussion on the history of drag and what drag in Jacksonville was like. Honestly, could not think of someone more qualified to have this discussion with than Tonya Marie Richardson. So, you know, we used to work together, and a lot of doing drag is just carrying a really heavy suitcase across town and cramming 4 outfits into it, and wigs. You gotta smell nice and you gotta look good. And since everybody got a smartphone, you gotta look good out of the spotlight. And I've definitely encountered some junk in the last 10 years that I've done drag. But Tonya, you wanna tell them how long you've done drag for?
Okay, my drag career started in 1978.
Ooh. Yeah. I'm bad at math. What is that like 8 years?
Yeah. 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Okay.
5 years ago.
Yeah, and it was real. I mean, it was rough back then. You know, growing up, we didn't come out. We was already, we was always out. Everybody knew in the neighborhood that was the sissy, or that was the queer. So it wasn't so much you were coming out. You were already out, and you were like at the bottom of the barrel of everything. You would never be anything. You would never amount to anything. You would go to hell because you're abomination of God. This was taught to you, whether you was Christian or not. All this was taught to homosexuals. We weren't gonna ever amount to anything. You never got any compliments for anything. It was really, really rough. And then in society, it was real rough. Society didn't accept us like they accept us now. We were taboo. Nobody wanted to be seen with a homosexual, let alone a drag queen. And I left home when I did finish high school, and I was kicked out of college because I was a drag queen.
They kicked you out of college for being a drag queen?
Yes.
Wow.
They kicked me out of college because I couldn't come to college dressed. I had a scholarship at FSU in music. I wanted to be, don't laugh, a symphony orchestra conductor.
Are you shitting me? I didn't know that. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I come? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got a little too casual. I forgot I was in a nice museum.
All right, that's what I wanted to be, but they kicked me out of college. My mom got me a job at Southern Bell, AT&T. They terminated me from there because I couldn't go to work in drag. And I was a drag queen. I was on the city bus long time ago, and I saw this person walking down the street, but I knew it was a man, but it was dressed as a woman. She was dressed as a woman. And I said, I didn't know people could do that. And that's when I decided that's what I wanted to do.
All the time.
All 24/7. All the time. And
that's the birth of being a trans woman. You just always see another trans woman turning it harder. Being a trans woman is just seeing another trans woman turning it harder and wanting to be her. Like that's
exactly.
That's how you discover you're trans.
Exactly. Then I entered a talent show. Thus started my drag career, excuse me. I entered a talent show. I didn't win. I came back the next time and I won, and there it was. And then I left home and I had a family in the streets that accepted me for who I was. My mother accepted me. She'd always told me I accept you for, what you do, I don't approve of it. And that's a hard pill to swallow, you know. But she supported me in a lot of things, but it was just that she didn't approve. Nobody approved back then. And it was hard.
Was all of this in Jacksonville?
Right here in Jacksonville.
And where did you perform first?
The first club I performed in was the French Quarters. It was on the corner of Main and Ashley Street. Ashley Street was where we all hung out. It's the La Villa area now, all the way from Main and Ashley to Ashley and Davis. It's nothing but bars. It was lit up like Las Vegas.
And about what year was that?
This was in the early 80s, the late 70s, the early 80s, all the way up to the 90s.
Oh, wow.
And we all, the bar was, it was called French Quarters. It was on the corner of Main and Ashley. And we left there and we go all the way down Ashley Street. And
was it mostly African American or mixed racial?
well, it was mostly African Americans, but we welcomed anybody, you know. We welcomed anybody. And it was so much love back then. The girls helped each other, you know. It was lovely, and I learned love in the streets. I found my family in the streets, you know, genuine love, you know, accepting of anything I did, no matter what I did. They encouraged you. When we competed together, we helped each other, you know, and it was just so much love back then. I don't know what's going on now, but.
How has that changed?
Well, one good thing that changed about society has begun to accept us, you know, and there's a lot of doors open up to the younger generations. And I implore you, please take advantage of it. Because we couldn't get jobs. We couldn't do any of that, you know. You had to do what you had to do. Live on the streets, sex workers, drag queens, do shows, and they wouldn't hire us.
So how would you say, like, what are some of the benefits of doing drag today and some of the things that are not as good as they were back in the day? Like, I'm sure there's lots of great things about doing drag today, but what are some things that you miss that you wish that like still existed?
I wish it was the love in the dressing room, the love of the girls that you're working with. Everybody's in competition with everybody. Back then, you know, we loved each other, we helped each other. You know, if I don't win, I want you to win. You know, I miss that. Drag has evolved in so much, you know. And the thing about it is, if you get up there and you do it and you do it right, you will be successful. I don't care what you do. You know, if you do it right, take pride in what you're doing and practice, number one. And I've noticed that society is acceptable to a lot more stuff as far as drag go than they used to be. You know, because when I came up, you had to be glamorous.
Ooh.
Always.
You are one of the, like, y'all, I wish you could just experience this heavenly creature doing full glamour. I cannot tell y'all how many times I've been turned beyond recognition. I've gone through some trauma in my life, and through hazy, glowy tears, I've seen this woman do a 7.5 minute Whitney Houston medley, and it has cured me of all my sorrows, and cleared my skin of all imperfections.
Thank you.
She is the moment. I'm just gonna brag on you for a minute. I do want to hear more, but it's like, I've seen this woman give you glamour. I've seen this woman give you sexy. I've seen this woman get on some roller skates, and I've seen this woman twirl a baton. She does it all.
But you had to do it, man.
You should do it. The kitchen take I come from more of a new school drag, but it's like, I don't even really miss. I feel like I'm the old school now because I started in like 2009.
I don't know, girl, but you have to mom.
Yeah, thank you. I just started walking upright. Bad. But it's like, I think what I've watched in the last 10 years is that the competitive mode has gotten far too much because everybody's trying to get on that little game show, RuPaul's Drag Race. Everybody's trying to get on that, and it's like, girl, you live in a third-tier city, you ain't got no money, you ain't getting on Drag Race. We're in Jacksonville, Florida. Chill out. Just hang out in the dressing room and vibe, you know. Like it feels like now drag, as everything's gotten more accepting, has become more like, let me pre-package something and make it like accessible to everybody, but you know, as you said before, back in the day, it was like drag queens were right there with the drug dealers and the hustlers and the sex workers, you know, and it's still like that though. Most of the time. Depending on what club you work at. Are you at museum? Well, I moved you to the museum, girl. We're museum girls now. We don't do that anymore.
Okay, I can't wait for them to see me in all my glory.
I know. We're going to be doing 3 shows a week here from here on out. Y'all signed up for this. It's Pride year. It's Pride decade.
So where do you guys do, where you girls actually do shows now? What are the drag venues?
Yeah.
Metro Entertainment Complex. We have In Cahoots, which
Metro Diner.
Right.
Metro PCS. Metropolitan Park.
Sorry, no, you go ahead.
I have an Eagles Place, which mostly out of town.
Really?
Yeah, because a lot of the clubs here, I mean, they're nice clubs to work in, and everybody wants to work at home, you know, but it's so much drama. Too much drama. Way too much drama. And then I can't keep up with BeBe, you know, I'll follow BeBe to the end of the time, because there's never any drama.
Hey.
It's never any drama.
Somebody get that in writing. I've always loved working with Tonya. We've been back. It's like the thing about drag that but the other thing is it's kind of tough to say because like the way we did things in 2019 is drastically different. And if you ask me, I don't necessarily know what the future is. I'm going to use a term called drag bubble, and personally, this is the opinions of BeBe Deluxe and not Tonya Marie Richardson, but the drag bubble kind of burst. So it's like, you know, for a while, because I started drag pre-Drag Race, and it was, you know, I was a little gay baby going to festivals and stuff, and it's like, it was like its own subculture. It was, you know, occasionally they might put like, some straight man in a wig on a show and call that a drag queen, but I said I wasn't going to talk about RuPaul, I'm sorry. But
I don't care for it.
But it's like,
Don't sue me, but I don't.
well, no, careful, they are very litigious. But it's kind of, it's been interesting to watch it become this huge cultural phenomenon, and like now they let drag queens read books to the kids sometimes. Sometimes, but it's like drag. It's like what?
Yeah, who better?
I just saw on Blue's Clues they had a drag queen on Blue's Clues, and I'm like, that's lovely. I love that. I think that's great for inclusion. Personally, I think that the art form needs to be like rejuvenated in a brand new way. I think that being on television and hitting this mainstream moment, it's become more about like, what can I deliver to people that ticks off all the boxes, that kind of gives this like trademark doll in a box drag that you can sell to as many people as possible. And you know, like selling your body has always been an element of drag, and like it's not necessarily to say it's sex work, but like you are selling your body in that moment. You're literally like going up to people and saying like, give me your dollars. So the future of drag, I don't know. I think I don't know. It's like, are people gonna go back to the bars and do the whole thing where they like, you know, take money out of people's hands and the girls will, here's the thing that people don't know about drag. How much y'all think a drag queen gets paid? How much do y'all think a drag queen gets paid? Because it's on average here in town, you might get $50. If you've been doing it for a decade, you might get $75. Maybe. They got girls working for $25. They got girls working for drink tickets. So there is, I'm gonna call it out. There is a major like labor inequality shift here, because drag queens are expected to, at this one particular club, show up with 4 different looks, 4 different wigs, 4 different pairs of shoes, 4 different pairs of jewelry, all in one night. Get your drag, make sure you don't smell bad, make sure you You look fresh, and it's not the same thing you wore last week. Make sure you do a brand new number, and then at the end of the night, here's $50. Think it over, make it make sense.
And it takes you 2 hours to get into it. It takes me 2 hours to get into it.
It's a
whole two.
Girl.
And that foundation costs $40.
What you use?
Dermablend.
You better.
It hides everything.
I use their minerals because I'm a woman.
And it's the truth. But I must admit, if there's a nice crowd and you go out there and you do what you're supposed to do, you can make $200 or $300 in tips.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. See,
But
that's
you got to be able to do, you know, you got to be able to feed the audience what they want.
how
You know what they want, they're gonna pay you.
Well, yeah, that's another part of it too. You get highs and lows. It's like sometimes you'll have a night and you're like, where the hell did that night come from? I just walked out of here with $450. And then other nights, you know, you're playing for like 7 people who are mad at you for being there. That's the other thing, is it's like sometimes there'll be a room full of people and they're just giving you absolute like nooch nothing. Just how many times have you seen a big group? Now I'm not gonna say nothing about nobody's demographic, but how many times have you seen like a big group of people who have come back from a benefit who give you nothing?
Not man.
Just face they can back to you the whole time.
They
They're like,
really want to clap for you.
they don't even want to clap for you. There's certain kind of people, it's like, they'll come see the show, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's jealousy or whatever, but they're like, and it's that TV show. That TV show got them messed up, because now they think that they can come to the bar, and they can, they have some kind of license to like tell us how to do. Oh, you're not entertaining me enough at this place where like, otherwise I'd just be looking at the wall, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm making it sound negative. Drag is really beautiful.
It is negative.
And you told me you didn't like Miami. You said you didn't like Miami.
Oh no, I was Miami. This was in the 80s, and
I saw the dress for what's up, Tonya, I got a gig in Miami. I'm going to Miami. She said, "Oh, girls are shady in Miami."
I was shady. They tripped me on stage. I broke my arm. And they are shady. I've never been back.
She said it was 1989.
I don't know. It was in the 80s.
She said they pulled a microphone cord and they tripped me with a microphone.
And I flipped off stage.
I'm not trying to like you break your arms.
It was funny. Because they had warned you not to go by yourself. You know, I was headstrong, drag queen, you know, and I wanted to see everything. You know, don't go by yourself, girl. I went, and I came back.
What advice would you give to someone who, out of total insanity, decided in 2021 they wanted to start drag?
Rethink it. And then when you rethink it, think long and hard. But if this is what you truly want to do and who you truly are, I say go for it. You have a lot of opportunities. You can't discriminate. You know, if you know how to run your mouth, you'll get there. I say go for it. I love it. I've always loved it. I mean, if you're serious about it, go for it. Now, being a drag queen showgirl is something altogether different. And if that's what you want to be, go for it. But there's a lot of competition out there.
I often, because I get messages from little gay ladies all over, and older folks too, who want to start drag, and they ask me like, how do I be a drag queen? And that's not really, there's no real way to answer that question. It's like, do you want to make money doing drag? Reconsider. You will not make money. You will lose money. Like you will absolutely lose money. Like out of how many drag queens do you think live in this country? Like 800,000? Just ballpark, 800 drag queens in this country, and only like, 150 of them have ever been on that student TV show. And then out of that 150, only like 15 of them make 6 figures. So it's like, if you want to like get in this to make money, I would reconsider that. But if you just really like get dressed up and you want to like live your fantasy, dress however you want to dress, and like, you know, or you have an artistic idea that you just have to let go, do it. Don't do it for money. And that's not like me trying to be inspirational. That's really stupid. Don't do drag for money.
Because you were making none.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to catch up.
I do it as cheaply as possible, girl.
$3,000 or $4,000 per gown, you know, and the prize
you get
package might
patents.
be, yeah, the prize package might not be but $1,000, but you done spent $5,000 to $6,000 for a package. It's not worth it. You really never get back.
Listen,
You have to do it from the heart.
So question, so in Jacksonville, what is the best thing that's happened to you in your drag career? And what's the worst or scariest or whatever? What would be a kind of a high and low in Jacksonville of having a drag career?
meeting Miss Tonya. It's the best day and most terrifying thing. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, the best thing here is I started in, for me, I started in what, 78, and still in 2021, I can still work in the club. That's the best thing that's ever happened to me, because drag is all I really wanted to do. It didn't afford me much, but it's all I ever wanted to do. You know, and when you're doing what you love doing, and I love doing it, it's not like you're working. The worst thing that happened to me is getting fired from a club. Yeah, it hurts your feelings.
They gave me those 60 days, Paula. They said,
fired me
"Correct,
on
60
spot.
days."
They told me to get all my stuff out the dressing room. Which one was it? This was on the beach.
Are you talking about?
Both.
They did not fire you for both.
Yes, they did.
Oh, Sheila Madonna. Okay, never mind. Sorry, let me know.
But yeah, but other than that, I've enjoyed my life as far as being a drag queen.
Well, the world fired those, so you know, just call that karma.
Did you ever perform at the Melody Club in Gainesville?
Yes, I have.
That was a wonderful.
It was. As a matter of fact, the end of August, they're having a Melody Club reunion.
In Gainesville?
Yes, at the UC Club.
Yeah.
I'm performing there.
Good work.
Oh.
Did you ever do carousel?
Did you ever do Carousel Club?
Yeah, I never worked there. I don't know. I was in and out of town during that time.
Okay, yeah.
I lived in Orlando briefly.
So it's great having you both. And what the only thing that's missing is like having a slideshow projection of costumes.
Yeah.
All of mine perished in a fire. This is
Yeah. This one's worn some outfits right here.
Yeah, I love to sew.
Same.
So do you make your outfits or do you buy them or some?
I make them.
You make them?
Majority of them I make.
That's why we always vibe too, because I make costumes. I can't pay someone else to sew for me. I'll go crazy. But a lot of girls don't. A lot of girls, you know, they save up their pennies and they.
I don't sew for anybody else though.
No, I hate selling for drag queens. I meet so many designers who are like, oh, I love working with drag queens. Which ones? Demanding.
Two questions. Would you say your passion for it is still the same or more from when you started? And my second question is, do you remember your first performance?
Well, I kind of went, like, just for everybody wondering, we're both trans women, and for me, I kind of went through a little bit of a identity crisis because often when you do drag, it's like you do drag for like people who are fans of drag and are part of the community, because I think that there is like a communal need to gather, especially as queer people, in a space and like have that moment of like fantasy in the grimmest of places. I mean, we did drag at an old milk factory to buy some train tracks for all. The milk process of Lamb Mama, but it's like there is that like culture, there is that healing nature. But often when you're in a drag club, you're also opening up the door to all kinds of people who treat it like a zoo, who treat it like, the way I like to look at it is that when you do drag, you kind of notice the way things work. Being a person who doesn't go do drag and goes into a gay bar, it's almost like, so everybody on earth has gender anxiety. I'm gonna say that very confidently. Everybody has gender anxiety and we don't realize it. So when you come to a gay bar, you walk into the doors and you ceremoniously drink the magic elixir and you get a little liquored up because you have permission to, because you're like on the fringes of society. And then when you see this drag queen, someone who is like, you know, especially because I'm a hairy girl, it's like you see a drag queen and you're like, that person is breaking all of the rules of gender that I've ever had to like have foisted onto me. And for a moment, I can feel alleviated because all of the gender attention is on that person. So for a moment, I don't have to think about like, and when you're like a cis man, there's this pressure to be like, you gotta be the manliest man. You gotta be like the toughest man. You can't have your like feelings on display. And if you are a cis woman, you have to be the most feminine. You have to be the most subservient woman. You have to be ladylike the whole time. So when you see someone on stage breaking all those rules, for a moment you feel relief. Because you're like, oh, it's gone. The tension has escaped the room. And that's wonderful. And then people, you know, they get drunk and they're like, I know other people think you're ugly, but I think you're beautiful. It's like a whole thing. And then, but like what you do with that energy at the end of the night, if you're starting to feel a little like, because I'm trans, you know, and it was just so much. And even on a good night, there's always people in the room who are just laughing at the prospect of like, it's a man in a dress, you know what I mean? So that's tough. That makes me not want to do drag gigs as much because I don't really want to usher in the same 15 tired discussions about drag. But I mean, on the opposite end of that, it's fueled me to just kind of be like, even if you wore like an ugly outfit, you're still like wearing women's clothes. So just push yourself as far as you want to go. You know, I one time I got paid $350 and I'll never do it again, girl. I was scared. This agency wanted me to go to a Longhorn steakhouse. And they wanted while a whole bunch of rednecks were having a birthday party, and they wanted me to wear what the guy said is like, you know, cross-dresser Bill Burl drag, like just man in a dress drag, to make the guy's birthday uncomfortable. And it's like, imagine your life is so boring that you're having your 50th birthday party at you've like bought out like this restaurant, and y'all are so stuck in the gender trappings that I didn't have to perform. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to walk in a dress and say happy birthday, and I got $350.
Yeah.
Right? But it sucked. I hated it. I hated the whole thing. So it's kind of that. Like for me, I'm a musician. I'm in a band. I make music. I host. I do all. You know, I'm a model. But for me, it's clothes. It's more passion. It's more costume. For me, it's not this like. I love becoming a different character. Over time, there was a time when it felt like BeBe Deluxe was a character that I got into, and now it's just me. And I think there's no character with Tonya Marie Richardson either. That's just you.
Yeah, this is.
I don't see you go into a character.
No, this is just me.
You don't.
Not until I get in drag. Then maybe I have to be a lady. You know, when I get in drag, I have to be a lady at all times.
Even with the electrical tape pasties, girl.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
She said,
Let's
let's
go,
go,
man. I didn't know it was
Hey, would you do that ever again? You want to go change to do it?
Think I can pull it off?
I think you could. I think these people are ready to turn.
No, I'll run up out of here.
Kids
Not right
now.
now. Catch me on the 26th. Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's right. We're doing Duval County Queer Pride on Saturday, September 26th. And that's going to be at Revue downtown. And Tonya is headlining. So Tonya's going to be doing the thing out there.
Y'all come out and see me.
Absolutely.
Please.
If anybody else has any questions, buddy. What's up?
I was wondering how like the whole pandemic has affected you guys with like booking your jobs and everything.
No work.
No work?
No work.
Oh man.
No work.
Yeah, it was, I mean, incidentally, I was kind of like about to quit doing the clubs for a while right before the pandemic started. And then, you know, no other choice. There was some online drag events to be had, and it was cute in the beginning. In the first couple of months, everybody was like, "Oh, this is fun," and it's like you could make some money. And then at the end, it was like, "Girl, I got $7 for a video I spent 2 weeks editing."
Oh god.
It was just the transferal of like labor. It was like, okay, so before we had to like show up, get the crowd hype, wear nails, wear heels, wear pads, wear a corset, wear a wig, have the wig taped down, have our makeup flawless, wear lashes, do gymnastics, make people laugh, make people think we're sexy. And then the pandemic happened. It was like, all right, well, what if you did all that with less money?
No.
And you got to set up camera equipment and edit it yourself.
Oh no. Oh.
It was cool. Or you could just go to any of the anti-mask paradises that the gay bars became.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna forget that.
All right, I did do a couple of online shows that were cute.
Yeah.
Did you miss your audience? I miss my audience because I like to interact with the audience.
For sure. Yeah.
But we survived, I think.
I saw this one lady. I'm not gonna say her name. I'm not gonna tell the story anymore.
Why? Tell it.
Cause I think that's recording.
I got a video on you.
Then I'm definitely not gonna tell the story. I just saw a girl working at a place. I'll tell you later. I've just seen a lot of girls misplaced and having to do other jobs. I almost stopped myself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, that's on me. That's for impulse control.
This has been very exciting.
I didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
I know a lot of queens have left drag in the pandemic just because it really, you had to like learn, is this something I really like to do? A lot of us coming back in here, doing our show later, it's their first time getting back in front of an audience, yeah. But they're great. We've been practicing all week.
They enjoy it.
Yeah.
For sure. What time is it?
I don't know. It's probably time to wrap this up, but if we probably have room for like one more question, if anybody has one. It's always so funny when you say one more question, no one has one. I have a question for you.
Oh dear.
Do I look pretty? No, I'm just kidding. What is something that you want to do in drag that you haven't done yet?
What is something I want to do with drag? There's not very much that I haven't done. And seriously. And I've done it all in drag.
I'd like to win $1 million.
I can't think of anything because everything I've done in drag. And I've done a lot.
Yeah.
They were very, very colorful.
Did you see Priscilla or have you seen it?
Oh yeah, we're doing a Priscilla themed drag show after this.
Right.
Yeah.
And what do you think of Priscilla and
You know what? Thank you for asking me that question, because asking us that question, I'm sorry. You totally became wallpaper to me for a minute. I'm so sorry. I love Priscilla Queen of the Desert a lot. Did y'all watch Priscilla? Were y'all just in the room? It's great. No, you can't hate. I love it. I love Priscilla Queen of the Desert because there are things that don't age well. Certainly, I mean it's now we're having discussions about like gay people should play gay people, trans people should play trans people, and there's some racial insensitivity in there. And I don't like how they did name my girl at the end of the film. But other than that, what you get with Priscilla is so advanced for its time period. You get to meet drag entertainers as humans instead of like little fantasy creatures to project like heterosexual cisgender stories. Like the famous example of this is that Hollywood saw the success of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and they made Tu Wong Fu, which I am a buzzkill. Everybody hates me because I always talk about how, there we go. Everybody always hates me because I talk about how I don't like Tu Wong Fu. And I don't like Tu Wong Fu because you took a really beautiful, moving, cinematic masterpiece that is Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, that talks about transness and finding love and seeking acceptance. And just, it's about 3 people who travel through a cruel country that wants them dead. At one point, they are left for dead in the middle of the desert. They fear their lives, they fear their identities. They go all the way to this theoretical Oz where they're supposed to perform their show at a nice place and do well. And they're met by a bunch of straight tourists who don't get it, but what they find is the family and the community in between. And then they make Tu Wong Fu, which is basically like, let's put 3 heterosexual action stars in a car dressed in drag because vehicle across country and drag equal money. Like that movie, if you've seen Tu Wong Fu is basically about 3 genderless, sexless, fairy godmother creatures, and one of them gets punished for expressing any kind of sexuality at all. Like if you think about Chi-Chi gets in trouble because she's the sexy tardy one. And then the entire plot revolves around, let's help this small town full of straight people feel better about themselves by seeing how terrible our lives are. They don't have any kind of autonomy. They don't have any kind of point A, point B. Their only thing is we want to go, what is the storyline? What is the story arc of the 3 drag queen characters in Tu Wong Fu? I want to win a contest. That's it. They don't have any goals, any aspirations other than I'm here to be fairy drag mother and to help stop her Channing deal with her abusive husband. Whereas every character in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert is deeply yearning and searching for a more complete version of themselves. Even the wife of the man with the ping pong balls, even though that's a really unfortunate racial stereotype, she herself says, I do not want this life you're making for me. I want this and I'm going to pursue it. Tick in the beginning, the main character, he sings a song that says, I've been crying for unborn children, might have made me complete. We find out he's got a son. And he goes and he pursues his relationship with son. Bernadette doesn't want to do the gig anymore. She doesn't want to take money out of the man's hands. And she wants to find love and she wants to find happiness. And it is truly something that if you're unfamiliar with drag, if you're trying to introduce somebody to drag, I would recommend Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, because even though it has some updates it could be made to be more appropriate for 2021, it does a good job of showing the heart of what I think being a drag queen is like. I think you'd like it. I think you'd like it, yeah. Thank you.
So do you think that, like, overall things are getting better for trans people? Is it getting better in our country for trans or not? Or it's different versions of the same? I mean, I'd just be curious to hear each of you reflect a little bit.
I think it's getting better.
Yeah.
Like I said, society is more acceptable nowadays. But we used to have to run from the police, and that's how far back I go. If you had what do you call them? Falsies, you would go to jail.
Yeah. Well, it's every day is better than the previous, sure. I do still think that there's a long road. I mean, I think that we're just now getting to a place where Hollywood, which is arguably one of the more progressive landscapes, will even cast a trans woman to play a trans woman. So if you use that as like a microcosm of real life, yeah, I think it's gotten better. I do think that like Joe Beerham on the street doesn't know any more than he knew 2 years ago. And I think that if I were to get arrested today, I'd get put into men's prison. And if you got arrested today, you might get put in men's prison.
I would get put when I was arrested, I was put in the men's, and I had breasts.
Yeah.
They throw you in there with men,
And
God help you.
But the best you can get in those scenarios is they'll put you in the psych. They'll put you in the psych unit if you're trans. And you know, it's things that people don't think about. It's ways that affect you everywhere. And I do think that like the internet has done a really good job of like connecting people to have conversations they've never had before. It does make people think they're entitled to have these conversations. When like a lot of times I'm just sitting breathing, I don't, like right now, literally I'm holding a microphone and this is a talk on these things, so I don't want anybody to think that, but it's like, sometimes I'll just be sitting breathing and someone wants to be like, how deeply traumatized are you by being trans?
Very.
You know, so it's like, it just becomes, now with the internet, being trans is a buzzword.
Yeah.
It's a buzzword, everybody has all these opinions about trans people, and they have all these hot takes practice, and they don't realize that like trans people are like, we're just here existing, trying to mind our own business. You know, I'm just like, honey, I'm not trying to indoctrinate anybody, I'm just trying to be called she and ma'am, you know, when I buy my groceries. And,
Exactly.
you know, so yeah, it's gotten better. We're still down there.
Yeah,
We're still down there.
We got
you
a
know?
long ways to go. A long ways to go, but it's gotten better.
Yeah. Open up Grindr, you'll find out. Ooh, sorry, too much. Hi, Dad. All right. Does anybody else have any questions?
I do actually.
What's up?
Do you have any other films about drag that you would recommend aside from?
Sure, absolutely. I have a YouTube channel. No, I'm just kidding. I always recommend Priscilla Queen of the Desert for people. If you haven't seen Paris is Burning, it's required. You haven't seen Paris is, well, you lived Paris is Burning, girl. I don't know what you're talking about. You don't have to watch it. Girl, you was there. You was in the Jacksonville, Florida, Paris is Burning, girl. I can imagine. Paris is Burning is recommended. What was the other one I was thinking? There's a documentary called Sons of Tennessee Williams, and it talks about this group of men in their 80s, 70s, and 80s who were still doing drag, who had been doing drag in the 50s and had all these great stories. Oh, yes. Oh, it's everything. And they do like the big cruise and stuff, and they're all New Orleans based, but they talk about like the Jewelry Box Revue. They talk about all the stuff. So documentaries, I would suggest Sons of Tennessee Williams, and I would also suggest Paris is Burning. If you're into watching television shows, prestige television, if you don't mind reading subtitles, I recommend Veneno, which is brand new, and it's on HBO right now, and it is about this trans woman in Spain who became very famous through the tabloids in the 90s, and how she inspired another generation of trans women who like rediscovered her as like nostalgia. So yeah, I would recommend Veneno, Paris is Burning, and Sons of Tennessee Williams. And Spice World and Josie and the Pussycats. There's no drag queens in it, but it's worth a watch. That's it. Thank you. Thank you very much.